counts of theft and possession of a stolen vehicle, armed robbery, and 2 counts of possession of an unlicensed firearm. These are the charges facing the 4 suspects allegedly connected to crime boss Radovan Krejcir.
The charges are quite serious, and 2 of them at least are Schedule 6 offenses, so we're definitely going to post bail.
One of the men was also linked to the kidnapping and attempted murder allegedly involving Krejcir, Sandton businessman Desai Lupondo, and 2 members of the Hawks, warrant officers Samuel Modise Maropeng and George Jeff Ntorwan. The 4 were arrested in November and faced charges of kidnapping, assault, and attempted murder. In June, they allegedly kidnapped and assaulted a man whose brother disappeared with a 25-kilogram shipment of crystal meth. He had been recruited to smuggle the drugs through OR Tambo International Airport. The 4 are expected to appear for a bail application next Monday. Stefina Komani, SABC News, Alexander.
Hello, good day, welcome.
HTVC
I know that
intelligent
it's
camera
been
is specially
it's been a
designed
very
for
long time
24-hour
since
real-time
we actually
surveillance,
had a
which is
discussion.
capable to detect targets,
So,
either human
so
or
now,
vehicle.
so now we've decided that I will come back again and do a recording of different series. In this recording, I'm trying to summarize what is currently happening on the different commissions that are taking place in the country. Now, you have the Madlanga Commission, and you have the ad hoc committee, and then you have the Nkabinde inquiries. Now, all of these things are centered around a press conference that General Mkhwanazi called last year on the 6th of July. In this conference, he was saying the country is in a state of emergency. They, as the police, have come to a point where they are unable to do their job because some of the rogue criminals within the police force are defeating the ends of justice. It's either they're tampering with evidence or working with the criminal syndicate. Now, I'm sure you guys will wonder why I actually played the clip that I played. The clip I played was just to remind you guys where all it started over 12 years ago. Those are 4 people that were arrested appearing in court. Guess linked to who? They were linked to Radovan Krejcir. What you will see there is it's Krejcir himself, a businessman, and the 2 police officers, which are known as Jeffrey as well as Saddam. Those are Hawks officials. They based where? They were based around Germiston area, if I'm not mistaken. Now, this is what is important. Remember what Mkhwanazi said. It's business, mastermind, as well as the police. Now, in this instance, what we've learned or what was made for us to believe was that those police officers were party to the killing or to them they were linked to Krejcir's work. I am not here to defend those police officers, but I'm just here to expose a different narrative, because we've seen Patricia has played a clip of a 204 witness whom has since come up and saying, no, I was never kidnapped by these police officers, but I was kidnapped by the other police officers. Now, it means that those 2 Hawks officials, that is Jeffrey and Maropeng, that were compromised in a way because they had links to Krejcir, whether good or bad. It's the same compromise that we know from the past, that Celebi, Commissioner Celebi, that was close to Agliotti. And Celebi never denied his relationship with Agliotti. He did tell us that Agliotti is his friend, Finish and Clan. And we also know from the file that since President former President Thabo Mbeki released, and apparently Crime Intelligence has actually went on to ask Commissioner Selebi to work with them. It was a registered project that Commissioner Selebi will work with them so that he can bring closer Glenn Agliotti, because Glenn Agliotti was a suspect that the police wanted. Let me remind you of Glenn Agliotti and his family links to the Democratic South Africa. Glenn Agliotti and his family, they played a role when people who were actually ANC officials that were previously banned from the country, when they were coming back. It is documented somewhere that Agliotti and his family played a role in actually funding people for people who were coming back, for them to resettle. So I'm not sure whether that was directing monies or were just jobs that were given to people, or just stipend for people to actually to settle down or move around the country so that they can actually rejoin their families. So in that level, maybe Agliotti had his own ulterior motives, because they could sense that a dawn of democracy is coming. But I'm not there. All I'm trying to say that there is always business and a police officer and a suspected criminal syndicate. Now, what then we've since realized in these commissions is that on the Nkaminde Commission, we've seen in Chauke's defense that FPA has played a role in shielding certain criminal or corrupt activities that may have taken directly or indirectly by police officers. That we've seen in Advocate Chauke's defense when they were exposing the issue of Danikas, who's a witness who since has fled the country. But Danikas actually makes account of police criminality or police brutalities that he had experienced while he's part of the team. We also had a former DPP of KZN, Advocate Nungu. Advocate Mopane Nungu actually went to Nkaminde Commission and articulated the process and atrocities that when he was reading the docket, and his recommendation for the prosecution of certain people who were seen to have went beyond the prescribed limit of how police needs to enforce the law. So that means they went to the other side. Now, those police officers were not held to account for their activities. So what then do we learn from that? We're learning that there has been a systematic corruption of concealing and protecting certain people. Now, I am mentioning these things that we started with the genesis of the Renovan Krecher case. Now we're talking about activities which are most as current as the previous DPP, which is Advocate Chamila Bato, and her actions towards protecting the evidence that was involving the Katomena team. But then also let's move forward to what is happening on the ad hoc committee. The ad hoc committee has since now came face to face with three crucial witnesses that have testified in some instances when there is elements of corruption within the NPA, SAPS, as well as the capture of other agencies that are expected to be working with the police, with the law enforcement, or with the justice system. Now, we've had testimony of Paul O'Sullivan. We've had testimony of Nkaminde. We've had testimony of General Phahlane. What Phahlane paints a picture that he has been a victim of a captured IPID that wanted to advance certain agenda with him, whether rightly or wrongly, but that evidence that we've had. Now, also, we've heard by a former member of IPID, whom Ms. Gabindi said, I was party of these things. We had several business or IPID-related meetings in Paul O'Sullivan's house. Paul O'Sullivan's house is the same house that he bought on auction. That house is said to have belonged to Ronovan Kretcher. So we also know that Ronovan Kretcher's house was actually attached by who? By NPA. Within NPA, there's a unit called AFU, Asset Forfeiture Unit. This unit confiscates properties that are perceived to be proceeds of crime. But what is strange with this Ronovan Kretcher's house is that it is documented on the media that there was a closed auction that was done by what? By AFU. So we need to actually go back to AFU and see how much the Ronovan Kretcher's house was sold for. I know that the entrance to participate in that auction was in an excess of over 100,000. So now the question is, how can a person who was part of a project Coffee and a project Bad Guys, which is the evidence that we had from Paul O'Sullivan in the ad hoc committee, that NPA ran these projects to attack these bad guys. What am I talking about? I'm talking about when Paul O'Sullivan tells us that NPA refunded him or compensated him for his work for flying his aeroplane to track the guys. So Paul O'Sullivan, a public citizen, getting involved with the police and the NPA investigations. We must remember that at the time, NPA had a wing which was called Scorpions. Scorpions had what Leonard people will call it a troika. It has an ability to investigate and prosecute at the same time. Investigate, arrest, investigate, and prosecute, or investigate, arrest, and prosecute. So Scorpion had everything along that, which then now on the sidelines brings us another query on the side, because we know that there is another commission, which we know that former presidents, President Zuma and President Thabo Mbeki, are challenging the chairperson of the TRC commission, who is Justice Nkabinde. Now, this is interesting because Justice Nkabinde used to work for NPA. But when he left NPA, he went on and became a judge. When he becomes a judge, he headed a commission which was assessing powers between the Scorpion NPA and what? And the SAPS, where as part of her recommendation that Scorpions were disbanded around 2008, I'm not sure which year was it, or 2009. It's interesting, guys. That is why I'm saying that we need to understand the history of this commission. Why now we're seeing all these things are colliding together. People may not understand why these former presidents are contesting these things. It's because maybe the commissioner has been exposed to a lot of things. I know that Justice Nkabinde, at some point, he worked in NPA. NPA has been running this commission of missing persons. The stories of missing persons are very brutal, guys. We've had incident where, when I work at the airport, we've seen incident where even de Kock was pointing out people how the previous regimes were flying the chopper around the mountains of Bergville or somewhere in Escort, in KZN, where they said it's a valley of death, where people were thrown there to die, basically, or bodies were thrown there. So now, in those hills there, so that history is very gruesome and it's a very painful history. I think both the former president have a point when they say maybe when they leading the evidence, this Justice Kambembe must step aside, basically. Now, moving forward to the story of today, is that now we now are hearing on the Madlanga Commission. And Madlanga Commission also talks about information, the police cruelty that now is involving the EMPD. EMPD is Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department. Now, it's a metropolis that is in the center of the biggest airport in Africa, which is OR Tambo International Airport. And it's a port of entry into the country. Yes, it's a port of entry. Now, I want us to look at the Ronovan Krejcir case. We look at the Senzo Meyiwa case. And then we look at Mkhwanazi's statement. Mkhwanazi's statement or press conference has led us to these commissions that have actually happened. Now, there are common names that continue to be mentioned in these commissions. I am actually going to try to actually remind you guys in terms of where we are actually coming from with regards to these commissions. Now, I'm trying to find these names. These names that I actually have been mentioned in these commissions. Now, let's see. Trying to see if I can share the names before we can talk. Let's see. We can share. Can we share the names? Can you share the names? Yes, we can see the screens now. Now, let's look. We've had the name Brigadier Gininda. We've had the name General Shibiri. We've had the name General Sibiya. Now, Brigadier Gininda has been involved in a Ronovan Krejcir matter as well as Senzo Meyiwa case. And then also in the other committee's name has come up that he flew to check and his flight, they were paid by Paul O'Sullivan. General Shibiri, we know that his route is from Free State, where they've actually seems to have worked with General Sibiya, basically in Free State, as well as General Sithole. So now, we see now also General Shibiri also appear in a Senzo Meyiwa case, where one of the witnesses, Tumelo Madlala, says that General Shibiri came to him in Durban. They went to the beach for him to take statement. And Tumelo Madlala had a lot of things to say about General Shibiri. Now, why I've shown you those names, it's because they've become in the center of all of these commissions. Now, why is it now these commissions, what is now shocking, what the commission is actually hearing as early as this week? They're hearing that IPID has been doing the investigations of these cases. Now, one of the major investigations that IPID talks about, they talk about the investigation of Ekurhuleni when police officers are seen to have done something wrong, where they force a public shop owner to actually to take cigarette from. I hope you can see the screen. I have started by showing you still photos. These still photos are GTIs. These GTIs are very prominent on the Senzo Meyiwa case, because Senzo Meyiwa case is the case where they are talking about EMPD, where the suspects, they claim that they have been abused and beaten up by the EMPD officers. But these EMPD officers appears to be the same EMPD officers that have been working with Brigadier Gininda. Now, Brigadier Gininda has actually said that these teams he was working with them is a SWAT team. Now we know that this SWAT team appears to be untouchable within in working with SAPS members. Now we know that from from the evidence on the Madlanga Commission that the SWAT team has now been allocated who's the commander of it, of which in the Senzo Mewa case, that process, the prosecutor, Advocate Baloyi, has shielded us to know who's the actual commander of the SWAT team. Now we know that it's Brigadier Julius Mkwanez. Now we know that the SWAT team had more than 3 cars that has happened. Now I'm asking myself, guys, that whether do we need now to first continue trusting these institutions that are actually coming to the Madlanga Commission and claim that they've been fighting crime, they've been doing their duties that are enshrined on them by either their act or the Constitution of the Republic? Because clearly, EMPD has enjoyed protection from other police officers, EMPD, and IPID. You must remember that EMPD also has a history. The person that used to work for EMPD, the chief of police there, was Robert McBride. He went from EMPD and becomes what? A chief of IPID. Now he's also working for another government agencies. Now, do you understand that Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department has enjoyed protection from being politically linked and also being supported? Because Paul O'Sullivan has also told us that his involvement with the crime intelligence goes back to the linkages of a Brigadier Ximba, whom is the one that told him that there was a plot of killing Paul O'Sullivan. But then now we know that Brigadier Ximba, who's retired now, went and become a mayoral advisor within which department? Ekurhuleni. So being a mayoral advisor at Ekurhuleni, that means that now he is responsible for police security. That is why the SWAT team, this unit, was actually established. But then this Brigadier Ximba had the linkages of working with Brigadier Kininda now. Brigadier Kininda and Ximba are the one that worked in arresting Ximba and in arresting Ronovan Creature. And Ximba was the lead investigator in that case. Now, guys, it becomes very important because we've since have had the 204 witness with the video that was released when he is making an example of what really happened at that time. Now, this is episode 1 of trying to bring the background of what is really happening in unrooting this. As a country, will always owe Mkhwanazi, who risked everything and risk protocol and started talking about things. In Mkhwanazi's press conference, a prominent name that is centered was General Sibiya. But then now General Sibiya happens to be the first person who was the head of Hawk at the time, suspended head of Hawk. In 2014, he was amongst the first people who was on the crime scene on the Senzo Mewa murder case. But look what, the police with Kininda has never called Sibiya to testify. But we also know that the prosecutor that is prosecuting the Senzo Mewa case is General Baloyi, whom has a history with General Sibiya, where General Sibiya has won a case against Advocate Baloyi, where Sibiya had been persecuted about certain information by Advocate Baloyi. So do you see all these linkages that are coming through, whether right or wrongly? But we owe to Mkhwanazi, who risked everything and stood up and say, enough is enough. Now, we can never separate the cases of Ronovan Creature as well as Senzo Mewa case, because these investigators around it appears to be the same persons. And also the investigators in the Ronovan Creatures enjoy protection by a person who was a divisional commissioner, who happened later on becomes a national commissioner, who General Sithole had facilitated Paul O'Sullivan to maneuver around with his police officers and listening to sensitive state security information. Yes. Now we're sitting with a situation where General Sithole went a step further and took Brigadier Kininda and established a project called Cold Case Project, which Brigadier Kininda is heading the team, and the team is sitting where in a police commissioner's office. What was now the police commissioner? A police commissioner now is General Masemola. General Masemola has been to all the commissions, the ADO committee as well as the Madlanga commission. But there is nowhere he had uttered negative word against the cold case unit, which is headed by Kininda. But we've had witnesses within the Madlanga commission have went on and testified that we have a problem with relating to a cold case unit, which wanted to tamper with the evidence of Aman Swat, which is the reason why General Mkhwanazi took a leap of faith and went on a press conference. Aman Swat case was being attacked for two things. Police officers want a docket, which is National Cold Case, which is headed by Brigadier Kininda. And the person of interest as well is the department is Forensic Laboratory, which we know that has become a center on the Senzo Mewa case, where there seems to be fabrication of evidence within the bullet testing. And then also we know that also on the Aman Swat case, also the issue that is in the center, that the guns testing, FSL, the laboratory had issues where it appears to have tempered. They said it was an error. But they agreed to the error of the Madlanga Commission, but they not prepared to accept any errors on the Senzo Mewa case when these evidence are fabricated. I think we owe the Senzo Mkhwanazi who unearthed this mess. South Africans, as News for Sure, we are going to continue to talk about these things. We are going to expand on episode 2 when we're actually going in details about all of these actors and the involvement of these police officers. I thank you. God bless.